Welcome to Sales Training for Podcasters, the podcast designed to better your sales process. We'll be sharing tools, tips, and techniques, whether you love sales or hate sales. If you've got a product or service to sell and a podcast, you've come to the right place. Now, here's your hosts, podcast strategists, Doug Sandler and JJ Flizanes.
Welcome back to Sales Training for Podcasters. I'm JJ Flizanes.
Hey, I'm Doug Sandler.
And today's topic, of course, comes from life experience because as all of our topics do, we want to teach you what we're learning, what we've learned, and what we have yet to learn or are in process of learning. So today's topic of when to or when not to do free is brought to you because this is a hot topic. Would you not agree?
No, I totally agree. We find ourselves, especially those that we are coaching, oftentimes find themselves giving away a lot of the things that are the gifts to them because they are come easily to our clients. So we want to share with you some of the experiences that we've had over the recent weeks and months, and let's see if we can get on the same page together and when it's time to give away a service versus when is it time to charge for a service.
So first, I want to start off by reminding all of you that your podcast is free. Most of you, right? I have a membership podcast that people pay for, but you don't find it by searching it on any application and on any app that has podcasts, right? So somebody has to know about it, and then it's a private membership podcast, but it goes along with a group coaching and a Facebook group and a whole bunch of other things. So generally, though, people's podcasts are free. So let's just start off with you're giving content every week. Once a week, twice a week, depending on your schedule. If I was at one point giving out 6 days a week, right, of free content. And if you are putting your heart and soul into your content and you're sharing your gifts and your talents and your zone of genius on your show, and you're really giving them value, that's free. So I think right there, just acknowledge that while some of you may think of your show as marketing, if you're coming at your show from a marketing, like you're just trying to market, which means you're not actually giving content value, that might be a reason why your show's not working. If you are trying to sell something without giving something first, part of the free methodology, especially in today's digital age, is that we want to educate our customers and help them know what they need and then how to make a decision and build a relationship with them. So when they are ready to spend money, when they are ready to go to the next level, they think of you.
So tell me, I'm really curious because I know that this is a hot topic for you as it is for me as well. And I find that I tend to overgive. I tend to give away a lot of the content that I have that's available. And whether it's through a mini course or through the podcast episode or through a 20-minute free consult that I have to try to get a little bit more information about somebody before I, put them officially on my qualified prospect list. So tell me some of the scenarios that you've seen, JJ, that have happened recently, because I'm really curious because I do also find myself oftentimes giving away some of the stuff that I probably should be charging for. And I do go back mentally and I do I do a debriefing with myself to try to figure out, okay, well, is this something that I want to do over again? Or is this something, the pick your brain sessions? I hate those. Oh my God, I hate the pick your brain sessions. So why don't you share a little bit about what you consider maybe over giving when it comes to giving away free?
Well, first, let's lay it out there. Money is energy. Okay. And when you are giving energy out into the world and not receiving energy back in the form of money or maybe another form, I don't know, then you are going to feel drained. It's an energy suck. It only goes in one direction. So one of the indicators of whether or not you're doing something too much or too little, or you're undervaluing it, is how you feel. And I know for you, Doug, since I live with you, there are many times where you feel like you're overworked. You don't want to have to do anything more. And I think it's a clear indicator for several things that you do that, I've told you, no more free. Stop doing that. It is too much. Because here's the other thing about free. When you give something for free all the time, number one, you're training your audience to not value it. And those that are willing to invest and pay not only value it more, but they usually get better results because they're committed. And money is a form of commitment. And when you put money onto something, you're saying, I want this thing and I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to give my energy to this thing. And that opens up a channel of giving and receiving that I have found through my years of being in business. The people that pay more usually do better. And it's not that I'm trying to charge them more because I want to make more money. I just, as the price goes up, the quality of the people and their commitment to themselves and their project gets to be better. Unless, of course, we're talking about, like, as a personal trainer, I've had a lot of very wealthy clients in the past. And now that kind of service is a little different, of course, because I'm coming to the house, or I'm on Zoom, or I'm going to a private gym and I'm providing a service that I'm coming to them for. Or in the case, let's say it's just a regular gym and you have a trainer at the gym. But I'm talking about my uber rich clients that I've worked with, who I'm going where they are. So it's convenient for them. And I'm doing for them what they're not committed to doing for themselves, which I get, because heck, I'm a trainer and I'm having a hard time doing my own resistance training too, doing my own cardio just fine. But there's a fine line with services like that become dependent versus independent. And I had changed my business model years ago. I went from being the trainer who wanted the rich clients who didn't want to do their own work, because then I thought, oh, well, that will get my trainers and I a lot more work. Well, I didn't realize the scarcity in that, and I didn't realize the dependency in that. And so as I learned that I didn't like those people, then I started to attract, and I changed my business model. I started to attract people who did their own work, who did what I taught them and did it on their own, or like followed directions. And I thought, wow, okay, this is a whole new group of people, because I changed the way that I thought about it. I changed the way I felt about it. And I was very clear about the kinds of people that I wanted to work with. So when it comes to the podcast world, and your show is a service, you are giving it for free, and you don't even know who you're giving it to, but you know that you're putting out something into the world and you want something back. And at first, you're going to get it back in terms of engagement, in terms of possibly someone signing up for a free thing. But I always want you to check in, no matter where you are on the scale here of making money, having engagement or not. There has to come a time where you can acknowledge your own energy into your show. Because if you're doing your show with no energy, you're bored, you feel obligated, you feel stuck, you feel like you have to, wrong energy, which is why you're not attracting any good clients, possibly, or getting success with your podcast, because you feel so obligated by it. It doesn't bring you joy. You don't feel like you're in your zone of genius, and you're just doing it for marketing purposes, not actually giving content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So I have a couple questions, because I think this might help not just me, but those that are in our community just understand it. Number one, how do you know where to set like the draw the line in the sand? What am I able to give away without feeling like I'm being overworked? And where is the line where I stop giving those things away and start charging for them? And then the other thing is, how do I create I know this is a much bigger question, but how do I create an offer around that guideline? Because I think oftentimes it's really challenging. It's when you go at it and you have a set service, let's say a $5,000 launch program or a $4,000 online course. It's easy to say, okay, everybody that hops into that, it's $4,000. Anybody that's outside of that, I have to create another service. I don't have another service. So can you kind of help mold some of those things for me?
Well, when you're first starting out and you're testing your brand and you're testing your content and you're putting yourself out in the world, you're not as confident, and you don't have examples of people benefiting from your work, and you're just trying to figure out where is my value coming from sometimes, right? I mean, you might go into it knowing you have value, but maybe you're not sure how it's going to be delivered or how someone's going to use it. So again, I'm going to go back to energy. If you are always drained, if you have no energy and it's literally sucking the life out of you, then that's going to be the indicator that you've gone too far. When I first started my show, I said to myself, and again, I modeled somebody who did 2 years for free. He didn't know if he'd ever make any money. He's about to give up 2 years in. He was doing a daily show 5 days a week. And then all of a sudden he got featured on iTunes. This is a while ago. Okay. The competition was not nearly as much as it is now, but iTunes featured him. I think he got something like 40,000 listeners. And then he took those 40,000, and I don't know how he knew that, by the way. He took those 40,000 listeners and he created a membership program, and he sold, I think the numbers are either 2,000 people at $25 a month, or 2,500 people at $20 a month, whatever the numbers were. I don't remember. And he kept
he was making bank right out of that.
He was making 50 grand. Well, but he did it for 2 years for free. He didn't know what he was doing. None of us do, really, when you start. Even if you have a coach, you're still working out who you are in this podcast world. Having a coach definitely helps, especially those of us that have done it in every single way possible. We can see a path, and we also, business coaching, life coaching can help you express that differently. But I followed that model and part of it was the membership, but not even. It just, I thought, what can I do that for 2 years for no money? And I could, because I was testing out my content. So I did 2 years, not quite 2 years, but 2 seasons, 350 episodes, video shoots, and 4 days a week. But again, I was in the process of finding myself. I wasn't sure how to show up in the world. So that was all very free. For those of you that know the story, I separated the shows and Spirit Purpose Energy went crazy. And when I decided to do my first live event that I charged for, I started doing 2 episodes a week instead of 1. And I did that for 10 weeks and I filled my room. So now that became my new, I can do this. I can do 10 to 12 weeks of 2 episodes a week to help market my next live event. Well, I did that 4 or 5 more times and I started to feel really drained and tired. And it didn't work as well the second, third, fourth time and 5th time as it did the first time. So I thought, well, this isn't feeling good anymore. My intuition said it's time to get paid for this. So this whole idea of having a membership podcast, by the time, and again, guys, you got to have enough people interested in your work that email you, that are in a Facebook group, that are active with you.
Yeah. Don't start a subscription-based podcast when you're first getting started, because less than 1% of the people are actually going to take advantage of it. And that's if you have an engaged audience too.
I had a very highly engaged audience. So I thought, well, I'm already doing 2 sessions or 2 episodes a week. I just want to do the second one for someone who actually wants to pay for it. And part of the reason why, and I have a bigger strategy on that, but the reason why I made it so inexpensive, A, was to appeal to a lot of people, but B, because I just wanted someone to give me energy back for what I was doing. I'm like, can someone just say this is worth $9.99 a month or $14.99 a month or $20 a month? So I would check in with how drained you are by your activities, by what you're doing, and if it's efficient for you and if it's the right use of your gifts and talents. And that's really the first place to start. Now, the second would be time frame. When you look at time frames and you're testing something out, like for me, it was that 18 months. I also wanted to archive my content. So let's be clear. I had a ton of content that I don't want to repeat. I wanted to video it. I wanted to put it on audio, and I wanted to share it multiple times so that I don't have to keep saying it. So there was a bit in this for me that was efficiency. So my podcast was not just about doing something for free to test my content. It was to create it so that I could use it forever, which I'm still doing. So if you have an offer, and I want to just share a quick example of 2 things. One, there's the overgiving of the free, which again, then sends a message to your audience not to value you when you ask for something. You haven't trained them to respect that you are asking for money in exchange for anything that you're doing because you have value. It almost sounds like you're apologizing and like you're asking for a favor. And if you're coming to your show with the energy of asking for a goddamn favor, nobody's going to do it. They're going to think that you're lame and that you don't believe in what you do. Sorry to be so blunt about it, but
100%. I 100% agree with you. When you act like you are doing the world, or the world is doing you a favor by allowing you to share your message, that is easily able to be heard through your just your tone. Your tonality is actually going to create that environment for you. Law of attraction, same thing. You're going to get back exactly what you're putting out there. You're not going to be receiving any compensation for what you should be getting money for.
Right. So, when to start free, obviously you start out free because your podcast is free. The next thing you do is you offer free lead magnets to test out your content and to test your audience. So those are of course going to be free. And one should always have a free lead magnet that leads to a sale eventually, maybe not at first because you're just testing out your content. But these are very appropriate times to get people into the funnel. But I want you to remember, because for a long time, I really wanted to be that internet marketer, and I used email campaigns unsuccessfully to build that know, like, and trust factor. Now, all of a sudden with my podcast, my email list isn't bigger. I mean, a little bit. It's just people have gone away that were from the past and have been replaced with people that listen to my podcast. But I still make a lot of money from a very small list because my engagement and my know, like, and trust factor and my effort and my passion comes through in my podcast. And yes, it's free, but it is way more effective 7 days a week, 24 hours a day than my email list will ever be. So
I also want to mention this though, and understand that this is just a part of the strategy that JJ has put into play highly successfully, is that you have clearly defined offers along the way. You have a very inexpensive membership for I think it's $12 a month or $13 a month, which gets people from anonymous to a little bit more known. You're using that group to take them to the next level, which oftentimes could be a certification program that you have, a live event that you have, a mastermind that you have. And then those high level programs also are able to put people into the mix of other products and services that you have as well. So you have a really highly defined offer. And oftentimes I think that we struggle as podcasters, we struggle to, okay, what does my audience want? I'm starting to create all this stuff and I'm putting it out there to the world. And the reality of it is you don't have to create anything until your audience says, this is what we are looking for from you. So maybe you can just comment just about on the specific offers that you have, and the value of not just the fact that you have these offers, but you have these clearly defined offers as a part of what you do.
Well, sometimes they would tell me what they wanted, but I got them into a free group. And I, from the beginning of Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, said, what do I need to support myself? And I thought, you know what? I need accountability. I need accountability to doing the law of attraction exercises to get me in the highest vibration possible in the morning, to set the tone for the day, to allow things in a bigger way. So I literally built it for me, and I invited other people to participate. And the way that I've run it has been very, I have very tight closed doors on it. I don't promote it anywhere else. You have to jump through some hoops to get in there. And I have a very low attrition rate because I wanted to control the group so that I knew who was listening to the show. You can have a free group that's super huge, but very, not very engaged. And then again, you don't even know where they came from. And I was trying to market in a way that led me to know these people know who I am. They listen to the show. They understand all the offers. They understand what I do, and they're interested. They're completely bought in. That to me was important. And it wasn't about the number. It was about the quality of the leads in that group. So you guys could also do the same thing and build some kind of, whether it be a Facebook group or some kind of free group. But again, you still want to have them jump through some hoops, especially if you're going to promote it in other places, which I don't necessarily recommend. And here's why. Because if you're doing Facebook ads in the same group, you don't know where they're coming from. And sometimes, depending on the kind of content you have, will determine the kind of relationship your audience has with you. And because I'm dealing with a lot of very personal things, I mean, literally all personal things, that there's a different attachment to me than, let's say, in business or in fixing cars. Although Doug's podcast about Mustangs is getting some really good engagement because it hits a nerve of what they're really, really passionate about. And they really want to reach out and tell them about it, even though it's about their car.
Yeah, it's incredible. When you put out a lead magnet, and again, I could have created an entire program around it, guessing at what my potential market or my market wants, knowing, hey, these are Ford Mustang owners in the first generation, so 64 and a half to 66 Mustangs, and thinking, oh, I know exactly what they want. And then creating a product, it's like, that wasn't it. I literally created a lead magnet. I'm getting the people to step from anonymous to known. And we've had over 200 people just in the last several weeks alone just hop in and take advantage of this lead magnet that I've gone through, that I've put together. I guess my point is that you don't have to create the program. You don't have to already know what you're looking for. You just want them to take action. What is it that they're going to want from you? The first step is just to figuring out who they are. So would that be one of the things you recommend, is just putting together a lead magnet and thinking that you know what they want already?
You have to test it if no one's talking to you. How else are you going to figure it out?
Right.
Now, if you get fan mail, ask the person who sent you the fan mail. Hey, thanks so much for writing to me. I'm so glad you enjoyed the show. Can I ask what you were looking for? I believe John Lee Dumas talked about this in the very beginning of his show. He would get on calls with his audience. He would get on a 30-minute call and sort of pick their brain about what they were looking for and what they liked about the show and what they needed. So again, when you're starting out, those things are fine. But when you start to know what they are and you've tested out your offers and you know what people respond to, you got to stop doing free. Now, I want to talk quickly about barters and trades and refunds. So, and yes, this has all happened to me recently. So this is why we're doing this really hot topic, because I really want to make sure you guys don't make the same mistakes and that you're noticing the cues, because oftentimes, especially depending on how conscious you are, you may not notice the energy drain, and you may not know to look at your energy as a barometer of whether you're, having energy vampires take your energy, like from the show or your clients or whatever, or if you are overgiving, because that says something about your confidence level. So bartering, when I bartered a lot in my lifetime at the beginning, and it's a great system when two people or two companies or two service providers have something each one wants equally. Awesome, especially when the value of what they're offering is of equal value. The problem with bartering long term is that when you have one product or service that is more valuable than another, wow, that's terrible. When you have one product or service that is more valuable than another or more effective, and then that deal starts to go sideways because now there's an imbalance energetically, that one person's getting a lot of value and it's very helpful, and then the other person may have changed their mind. So I want to just make sure that if you guys are going to do any kind of bartering with somebody else, and in fact, in one of my in my podcast, I guess, and in my community, one of my members has become my inner circle, and she's my community service manager. She deals with customer service, and she came from my community, and she actually wanted to intern for me. And she interned for me, and then I hired her, and she joined one of my low-level mastermind groups, the beginner mastermind group. And when it came to, I asked her if she wanted to barter, and she said, no, because you've taught me that it's better for my taxes also if I'm paying for it because it's deductible. I was like, yes, it is. So I pay her and she pays me. And she just started out in her business, but it was a great lesson to learn and to hear her take that on. And because she could easily have we could have bartered, but there is value for taxes too in energetically contributing to the other person. So just want to put out bartering. So be careful. So what about you, Doug? Have you been doing any bartering that's drained you?
Well, I find that I'm the kind of guy that until fairly recently, I would say until maybe even this year, I mean, it's only just been a few months, I tend to undervalue, even though I'm always suggesting to my clients, look, you want a surefire way to make more money, double what your services are going for, because you are definitely valued at higher than what you're charging. But I find myself, until this year, I was strongly caught in the net of letting people pick my brain. And I think I remember, and maybe we can put a link in the notes, or maybe we can talk about this and people can find it on your other podcast, when Melanie Benson came onto the show. And what was the name of that episode? It was, I'm trying to remember what was the topic.
It's like 4 steps to the sales process. I think it was like episode 11 or 12.
Yeah. And we, on this show, on our show, or on one of the other shows?
No, on this show.
On this show. Okay. Because I know that I heard her before. I heard her on this show, our show. I heard her on a show that you guys had done together. And just the idea of pre-qualifying someone before you allow them to have the pick your brain call, because we all are so excited when somebody wants to talk to us. It's like, wow, yeah, you want to talk to me. And I will tell you that is an ego boost for me, because I'm a words guy. So I love when people say positive words, and I love when people acknowledge and agree with some of the things that I'm doing from a teaching perspective. But I was one of those people that would go down the path of letting a lot of people pick my brain. And that's a challenge that I needed to really halt. And once I stopped halting that, I found, once I stopped doing that, I found, number one, I had more free time, which just sounds kind of obvious, but you don't realize how many times you allow those calls to happen. And if I really think back to the amount of times that those calls converted to someone becoming a client, it was insignificant compared to the amount of time that I was giving away. So be very aware of the pick your brain calls and sessions and coaching that you're doing completely free, and putting yourself in a position to stop that in its tracks. Now, there's some value to it, but overgiving for the sake of just doing it over and over again is not going to serve you or your schedule or your business very well at all.
So the concept of, like in my first book, Fit to Love, how to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit to attract the love of your life, was the concept that self-care and how you treated yourself is how you attract others. And I'm going to say the same thing in business. When in business, you respect your own time, others will respect your time as well. When you say and have clear boundaries about what you're worth, those that value you and what you do will pay that. And those that don't, won't. And if we go after scarcity of money and scarcity of time and chasing people for pennies, then you're not going to ever feel leveraged in doing a podcast, because you're going to spend so much time on the back end chasing people for money that you give out that desperate energy of that clingy, girlfriend or boyfriend who you just want to get rid of because they're clingy and needy. Well, that's what you feel like when that's you literally giving a million freaking things away for free and shoving it down people's throat. There has to be a level of respect you have for what it is that you do. And I know maybe that's a little too harsh, but that is one of the reasons why many people don't get people to pay them. They say, oh, but look at all the value I'm giving. Right. Exactly. You dumbass. You're giving a lot of value and you're not charging for it. Why would they pay you when you're giving it to them?
Hey, look, we promised you that we would not have the velvet on the sledgehammer as we were doing these episodes, and we're hitting you right where everybody lives. If you find that this is triggering you, if this is something that you're like, you screw them, I'm giving a lot of value away, and I'm going to continue giving a lot of value away. I'm just saying, just think about what we're saying. Just think about it. Think about the opportunity to cherry pick those opportunities you have to let someone into your inner world where you can give them the information, and those times when it would be more valuable to you to sell your services. As a matter of fact, an easy way to do that is the pick your brain calls basically come along with a price tag. And if you have an auto scheduler, have a link that is like, I use Acuity, and on my coaching, there's been so many times where somebody said, hey, can you spare a few minutes with me? And I would say, absolutely not a problem at all. Here is access to my coaching link. And I would send them a link that was for $495 for an hour, and they could have access to it. Very rare did someone come back to me and say, you know what, I'm not going to pay for this. I thought you were going to give this to me free. This is not what we're in business for. We are not in business to give away our services. We're not in business to give away our magic. And if it requires you to have a crutch, and the crutch is creating a link that is a charged link, I don't care what it is, charge $97, charge $197. JJ is 100% right. Energetically, if there's an exchange of exchange of money, it's an exchange, a high energy exchange for you to receive what you are valued at, and then some. If you want to discount it, if you want to give them a lower price because it's just a pick your brain session, have a link for a pick your brain session, $197 for 30 minutes. Send it to someone, and I promise you, you will have some people that will take advantage of it because they respect your time, because they respect the fact that you have a gift, and that gift is the service that you provide. So just think about it. If anything that we are saying right now is triggering you.
So the last topic is refunds. And, I just had a recent run in with a refund, and it all, you have to kind of expect it at certain times, right? Like if you have a certain level of enrollment and even a small number of people, at some point, the numbers will be that someone's going to quit or ask for a refund. And so you want to financially be prepared for that. But here's beyond the financial, be prepared for that. There's the energetic, be prepared for that. And I've, of course, learned the hard way, which most people do, to put contracts in place. Okay. Contracts that have a clear cancellation policy and having people sign off on that. And I had a recent person who had decided that my empowerment strategist course, and mind you, I put more people in it than I had advertised I was going to, because at the last minute, I had one of my mastermind members who would be a perfect mini me want to jump in it and want to do it now. So I was like, okay, it's fine. And so when I had someone back out and say, I don't think this is a good time for me, I knee jerked and I refunded the whole thing because she paid in full. We're talking $7,500. Now, I had other money coming in and that was not a problem financially. Here's where it was a problem, is that after I knee jerked And sometimes a full refund is absolutely what you want to do because it's not worth the headache of dealing with the person or whatever's going on. Okay. But in this case, there was a contract and the contract is very clear. And after I knee jerked and thought, it's fine, we haven't officially started yet, even though I've spent time with them and did a meet and greet and there's been things. I'm like, okay, we didn't officially start. I'm just going to press refund and I'm going to give her back her $7,500. Well, here's where it did not sit well with me. And this, again, by the way, not her fault. None of this is anybody else's fault but mine. And this is a lesson I'm trying to impart on you before you make the same mistake. I realized that I have an attorney I had to pay to make the contract. I have an assistant that helped me put it together and send it out. I have a different assistant that helped me communicate and get things up there. I pay a monthly fee for Kajabi where I made the thing. I pay a monthly fee for Dialogger where I hold the application. I've been on 2 calls with her on Zoom for free when she filled the application. I'm like, wait a minute, I should have charged her something. Not maybe the full half of whatever it is that my contract stated, but something. And I could have done that because then I would have been in my right to do that. And so I disrespected myself by not charging something for my time, my effort, and for the freaking inconvenience of what just happened. Now, it's not a huge inconvenience. It's fine. I could tell you that I probably felt it coming. But it's the idea that was just a reflection back to me, who I actually really do value my time and I charge mostly what I'm worth most of the time. Like that was a wake-up call right there. I'm like, oh, because I haven't had to do that before. This is the first time doing this. And pretty much everyone's paid in full. And most of them are in my other groups. So there's a certain level of trust I have about the relationship. This person has never been in anything I've ever done before. So I just want to encourage you to use your intuition. And I want to encourage you to value your time. Make a contract, protect yourself. You have the right. She signed it. You have the right to protect yourself and your finances and your time and your efforts through agreements that you get in writing and through when you refund somebody. In fact, I refunded somebody who I didn't have to because I wanted her gone. And I was like, okay, I don't want to work with this person anymore. I'm going to give her back a couple months of her payments because as a good faith of like, okay, you weren't happy. I don't want to work with you anymore. So here I'm going to give you back a little bit of money. So just please value what you do. Value your time, give it a number. And it doesn't have to be random. It can be based on many things. Like I didn't even think about the things I just listed to you before I pressed refund. I'm like, wait a minute. I just hired an attorney to create this contract, which wasn't cheap. And she was one of the first 6 or 7 people that got it. Not that it's her.
And signed it.
And willingly signed it. And even when at some point she had reached out and said, she was questioning her decision or questioning the program. And I said, look, I don't need your money. This has to be a very strong yes. Like I have approached this whole thing with this, like, hey, if it's not a fit, awesome. I am looking for the person who is 100% feels like a fit. That is all I want. And later she came back and she said, it is. I said, okay, I can't know if it's a fit for her, but there was a red flag that I, in the future, will now note. But I thought today's show, for a couple of reasons, I wanted to impart this on you because no matter what level you're at, there's still lessons that you're going to learn and things you're going to do well, things that are going to teach you what you need to do better next time. And I just wanted to share them. Yes, they are red hot for me right now. And yes, I'm probably frustrated and you're getting the other end of that. But one of the best teachers I ever had in personal training literally yelled at the entire room that he had 11 injuries. Don't do what he did. And that intensity of that delivery seared it in my brain so much that I am like uber biomechanics specific on my body because I never want to end up like him. So not that you don't want to end up like me. You do want to end up like me, but I'm just, especially if you want to.
Trust me, if you want to be successful at podcasting, just follow the rules of engagement as JJ has just laid them out for you. And I know that, when we first talked about the possibility of putting an episode with the subject matter together, we thought collectively this will be a mini-sode. I guess this will be a 15 or 20 minute thing. And obviously it's gone on for now over 30 minutes because we do realize as we start getting deeper into the content, how essential a component this is for you to have a show that's successful. We want everybody that listens to this show to be successful. We want for you to value your services. We want to be able to help you design all of that as well. And I think it's a great episode. And I think while it came out of frustration that you had in one particular or several environments that you interpreted and said, hey, this would be a great subject for the show. It is one of those things that we deal with as well. And we hope that you receive the benefit from our creating this message for you today.
Well, this is how I made my other show successful. Whatever I wanted to yell at a certain client about that I couldn't because I knew she wasn't listening, I would create an episode and just share it with the world. And those who needed to hear it and wanted to hear it would take it. So I'm where you are, you or want to be where we are. If some of you, maybe not all of you, but we have a lot of value to share and we know how to make you successful because it isn't just about a cookie cutter approach. My entire approach is literally finding whatever message, whatever zone of genius you have, whatever lights you up, whatever you want to be doing in the world, and then putting that out there in a structured way to make money at it so you enjoy it. And that is partly why this whole conversation of free is important to have, because when you're doing what you love, you don't need to get paid for it. Energetic, like in the scheme of things, like you love it so much that you're happy to do it. But I'm telling you, eventually it will wear on you if there's not an equal energetic exchange of money or something else. If there's something else that you need that somebody can offer you or that you get from this, then so be it. But I know most of you want to make money. And if you want to make money doing what you love, you have to charge for it and you have to respect and value yourself. So with that said, we are hosting next weekend or 2 weekends, April 9th and 10th, April 10th, 11th, April 10th and 11th, we are hosting the sales training and marketing workshop for podcasters. So we're literally going to be talking about all things sales training and marketing, building your list, promoting your show, promoting your offers, structuring your show, structuring your story arc, structuring your offers in order to get all the things that we talked about in terms of conversion and engagement and information so that you know how to move forward. Now, the current price of the event, which will be recorded and you will get the recordings on video, is $997. Now, there are several ideas and things that are going to be shared in that event that you could literally make your money back very quickly, especially if you do any kind of coaching or offer any kind of personal service based business in your podcast. Now, with that said, the price goes up tomorrow on April 2nd or April 1st, the price goes up to $1497. Because again, still we're doing a workshop. This isn't a free event. This is a workshop. You're going to come to the event. You're going to come with stuff we're going to send you that you're going to fill out before you get there. And then we're going to workshop your stuff. You will leave with so many to-dos and new structures for your show and your marketing and your sales funnel. You'll have a clearly defined funnel, or at least you'll know what to do next if you don't know what to do now. Now, because the price is going up to $1497 and it's currently at $997, we're going to do a little flash sale. We're going to see who's listening. We're going to do a flash sale this week until April 1st, back down to the early bird of $497. So you have to use a code when you go to turnkeypodcast.com/sales. We'll put that link in the show notes. You're going to use the discount code of STP. Sales training for podcasters. Now, Doug, was that lowercase or uppercase? Doesn't matter.
Does not matter.
Does not matter. Okay. STP, sales training for podcasters, is your code to save $500, but that only lasts for 48 hours from now until April 1st. So try it out. Go to the site, turnkeypodcast.com/sales if you want to join us. If you can't make the entire event, again, we are recording it. So if you're interested, this is definitely something, if anything we've talked about resonates and you know you need some help with this, because otherwise you're just being drained energetically dry by your show or your clients or people you're trying to convert into clients, please come to sales training and marketing workshop for podcasters. We'd love to help you make some money.
Well, if you're going to sing I figured that would be a good outro for the episode. Just sing your way out of the episode. You're good with theater, show tunes.
I am. It's just the plea of, okay, we're going to give you a deal. So take advantage of the deals, $500 off. So it means $497 for literally 2 days worth of workshopping, the videos and the content afterwards. And we're going to be sending you stuff to do before it even begins. So if you're interested, if you're ready to make some money, if you're ready to get serious about structuring your podcast like a business, turnkeypodcast.com/sales. Again, turnkeypodcast.com/sales. Enter the code STP for $500 off only until April 1st.
Okay,
anything else to say?
No, I'm ready to go. This has been an exciting, very short episode of 35 minutes.
I know. And I wanted to be 20, but yeah, get us talking. And again, and I realized as we were going, the whole idea of the refunds and then and in terms of, you saying, well, I gave you value and that's worth something and putting it into writing and getting people to agree and protecting yourself, not in a scarcity, protect yourself kind of over lawyer way, just in a, just in a way that's about respecting your time. So hopefully today's show will, get you motivated, and hopefully we'll see you April 10th and 11th live virtually at the Sales Training and Marketing for Podcasters workshop.
Thanks for tuning in one more time. Sales Training for Podcasters. See you again soon.
Thanks for listening to Sales Training for Podcasters. To get additional information and to access more amazing content that will boost your sales game, visit salestrainingforpodcasters.com. Hey, do us a favor. Rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thanks for listening.